Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another video. Today we will discuss about differentiation. What is differentiation? It is a very important and a very well-known topic in mathematics. The process of finding the derivative of a function is called differentiation. The process in which we find the derivative of some function. The overall process is called differentiation. Before studying differentiation in detail, one must have a very strong concept about dependent and independent variables. We often write y is equals to f of x, where f of x is the value of f at some x, which belongs to domain of f. Y is equals to f of x, where f of x is the value of f at some x and this x belongs to domain of f. Let us consider a functional relation y which is equals to f of x and consider the value of function x square plus 1. Suppose we take x is equals to 1 and solve this relation. Y is equals to f of x. So put 1 instead of x. Also putting the value of x which is equals to 1, we get this form. Now the square of 1 is 1 plus 1 which is equals to 2. Now consider x is equals to 2. So y is equals to f of 2 which is equals to, putting the value of x is equals to 2 in this function, 2 square plus 1 which is equals to 2 square 4 plus 1 5. So we notice that x is equals to 1 and y is equals to f of x we get is 2. When we take x is equals to 2, the value of y or f of x is 5. So it is obvious that the change in the value of expression x square plus 1 or f of x depends upon the change in the value of x, variable x. As x behaves independently, so we call x as independent variable and y, the change in y is totally dependent on the value of this x. So y is called dependent variable and x is called independent variable. Next we see the notations for the derivative of y is equals to f of x. Different mathematicians suggested different notations to express the derivative of y is equals to f of x. For example, Leibniz, a mathematician, he wrote the derivative notation as dy over dx. As y is equals to f of x, so write f of x instead of y. And we can also write df over dx, the derivative of this function with respect to variable x. Newton represented it as f of x. Lagrange represented it as f dash x. And Cauchy represented as d of f of x, means differential of f of x. And this is asked in many papers as objective question. Next we will learn how to find the derivative of a function from the definition of derivative. Given a function f dash x, which means the derivative of a function can be found by following 4 simple steps. Step number 1. Find f of x plus delta x. Delta x means a small change in the value of x. Step number 2. Simplify f of x plus delta x minus f of x. Step number 3. Divide this term by delta x to get this term and simplify this term. And step number 4, find limit of this term. And this term can also be written as f dash x. So the method of finding derivative by this process is called differentiation by definition, or by ab initio method, or from first principle. So let's take different examples to check how these rules can be applicable to find the derivative of different kind of functions. So first example we have is f of x is equals to c. Rule number 1 says find f of x plus delta x, which is equals to c. Step number 2 says find f of x plus delta x minus f of x and simplify this term. So f of x plus delta x is equals to c, and f of x is also equals to c. So putting the values we get 0. Step number 3 says divide this term f of x plus delta x minus f of x by delta x. So 0 over something is equals to 0. Third step is solved. Now last step is take limit. Limit delta x approaches to 0, f of x plus delta x minus f of x over del x, which is equals to limit delta x approaches to 0. So limit delta x approaches to 0 into 0. Since there is no value of x here, so the limit will obviously approach to 0. Now this term can be written as f dash x. So f dash x is equals to 0. Or we can say that d over dx into c. Because this is f dash x. F dash x means the derivative of function with respect to x. And the value of function is c. So the derivative of a constant function c is always 0. Any constant function, when we take its derivative, it always gives us 0. So example number 2 is f of x is equals to x square. Step number 1 says find f of x plus delta x, which is equals to x plus delta x whole square. Just we have added delta x in the value of x here and here. So we are done with the first step. Step number 2 says find f of x plus delta x minus f of x, which is equals to, this is the value of f of x plus delta x plus delta x whole square minus f of x. The value of f of x is x square. Now we have to simplify this term. A plus b whole square is a square plus 2ab plus b square. So x square plus 2ab plus b square, delta square x square, and this minus x square will come as it is. Now this x square and this x square can be cancelled out, and we are left with 2x del x plus del square x square. Now delta x is a common term in both these factors, so we can take it common. Delta x. When we take delta x common from this term, we are left with 2x plus del square x square. When one x and delta is taken out, we are left with simple del x. So we have simplified this term. Now step number 3 is to divide this term, this is the answer. So divide this term by delta x. F of x, this implies f of x plus delta x minus f of x. Divide this term by delta x. This term is equals to delta x, 2x plus delta x. Divide this term by delta x. So this delta x and delta x can be cancelled out, and the answer for this expression is 2x plus delta x. And the final step is to take limit. Limit delta x approaches to 0, f of x plus delta x minus f of x over del x equals to limit delta x approaches to 0, 2x plus delta x. Since this term can be written as f dash x equals to delta x approaches to 0. So 2x plus, when we apply limit, so delta x is equals to 0. We put 0 instead of delta x, which implies f of dash x is equals to 2x. So f dash x means the derivative of a function with respect to x. The function here we have is x square. So we can write d over dx into x square is equals to 2x. So the derivative of x raised power 2 is 2 times x. So another example we have is, if y is equals to 1 over x square, then find dy over dx at x is equals to minus 1 by ab initio method. So y is equals to 1 over x square, and we know y is equals to f of x. So we can write f of x is equals to 1 over x square. First step is to add delta x in the value of x, which is equals to 1 over x plus delta x whole square. Second step says find f of x plus delta x minus f of x. The value of f of x plus delta x is 1 over x plus delta x whole square minus the value of f of x is 1 over x square. So taking LCM, x square, x plus del x whole square. By taking LCM, we will get x square minus x plus delta x whole square. The simple method to find LCM. So a square minus b square is a plus b and a minus b. So splitting up this formula, we have a plus b multiply by a minus b. This is a minus b, x plus del x, divided by x square into x plus delta x whole square. Now x plus x, 2x plus delta x into x minus x, and we are left with minus delta x, divided by x square x plus del x whole square. So we have write simply minus delta x 2x plus delta x divided by x square x plus del x whole square. Second step is simplified. Third step is find f of x plus delta x minus f of x divided by delta x. So f of x plus delta x minus f of x is equals to this term, delta x 2x plus delta x x square x plus delta x whole square divided by delta x. So this delta x and this delta x can be cancelled out and we are left with minus 2x plus delta x divided by x square x plus delta x whole square. So third step is simplified. So fourth step is to take limit. Limit delta x approaches to 0 and this term is equals to f of x plus delta x minus f of x divided by delta x. So taking its limit, minus 2x plus delta x divided by x square x plus delta x whole square. Now applying limit, minus 2 minus plus minus and delta x, the value of delta x is now approaching to 0, divided by x square multiply by, this is x square and this term when we open its square, a plus b whole square. So both the values being delta x will be cancelled out and we are left with x square. So minus 2x over x square into x square, x times x raised to power 4. Now minus 2 x 1 times and x 1 times. So we are left with x power 3. Now we have to find the value at, where we have to simplify at x is equals to minus 1. So minus 2 divided by, replacing x with minus 1 cube, which is equals to minus 2 divided by minus 1's cube is minus 1. Minus minus cancel out and answer we have is 2. This is how we find the derivative of a function from definition of derivative. In the next video we will discuss the derivation of power rule. So give this video a thumb up if you like this video and don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Thank you.